Hello! I'm excited to introduce you to new concepts that will help you learn how to use AI responsibly. Learning to use AI responsibly is a crucial part of experimenting with and using this technology. Responsible AI is the principle of developing and using AI ethically, with the intent of benefiting people and society while avoiding harm. To ensure people are treated fairly and respectfully, AI users must be aware of the limitations of AI tools and commit to using them ethically. An AI user is someone who leverages AI to complete a personal or professional task, like editing copy for a marketing campaign, brainstorming ideas for a nonprofit fundraiser, or discovering more effective ways to use a particular technology. AI can perform many tasks that help make work more productive, efficient, or engaging. But AI, to be clear, is not perfect. Humans are creative, logical, and compassionate. We have critical reasoning abilities and contextual understanding of our environment that AI systems lack. Consider how the autopilot feature functions in an airplane. Autopilot navigates from point A to point B, but the plane still needs a human pilot to make complex decisions. For instance, if weather forces the plane to make an emergency landing, the pilot will be the one to manage that situation and safely land the plane. In this scenario, autopilot is the system and the pilot is the user. Autopilot can handle a lot of the more technical aspects of keeping the plane in the air, but generally, flying the plane safely is the responsibility of the pilot. Similarly, AI tools can help with many basic tasks in the workplace. AI can be used to brainstorm ideas for a new product, outline a press release, suggest questions to ask during a focus group, and much more. But it cannot perform higher-level tasks like giving personalized performance feedback to an employee, or making a judgment about which candidate to hire, or providing therapy to a patient. AI works best when used as a complement to our uniquely human skills and abilities. As a member of the Responsible Innovation team, I use my human abilities to connect with colleagues, motivate teammates, and drive innovation responsibly. My name is Emilio, and I'm going to help you learn about what using AI responsibly means. In this section of the course, you'll learn about the biases that exist in AI models. Then, you'll examine the types of harms that are associated with AI and the importance of pairing the use of AI with human abilities like critical thinking and responsible decision-making. Finally, you'll discover some tips for maintaining privacy and security while experimenting with or using AI tools. Let's get started. AI is an inspiring tool that helps allow for new experiences, opportunities, and achievements. For instance, AI is used to help self-driving cars detect pedestrians on a busy road and predict the presence and severity of a medical condition. However, the fact that AI is beneficial is not a given. As a user who is aware of AI's potential biases and its limitations, you can help ensure responsible outcomes rather than harmful ones. AI models are trained on data created by humans, so they consist of values and are subject to bias. They can also sometimes produce inaccurate results. Because an AI model is trained on a dataset to recognize patterns and perform tasks, the model is only as good as the data it receives. The output from the AI tool may be affected by both systemic bias and data bias. Let's explore each of those now. First, systemic bias is a tendency upheld by institutions that favors or disadvantages certain outcomes or groups. Systemic bias exists within societal systems like healthcare, law, education, politics, and more. Even if the people who design and train an AI model think they're using high-quality data, the data may already be biased because humans are influenced by systemic biases. Data bias is a circumstance in which systemic errors or prejudices lead to unfair or inaccurate information, resulting in biased outputs. Maybe you're developing a work presentation. You ask an AI image generator to create a photo of a CEO. All of the images generated appear to be white males. Based on this result, you might assume that all CEOs are white men. Obviously, this data is biased. Still, the more an AI model is trained with images of white men as CEOs, the more likely these models are to generate similarly biased outputs. Therefore, the more the data represents a wider variety of people, the more inclusive the outcome of the image generation will be. Just as AI models reflect the biases of the data used to train them, they also reflect the values of the people who design them. In other words, AI models are value laden. For example, perhaps an AI engineer wants to help create more sustainable ways to generate energy. The engineer could use AI to build a tool that allows energy suppliers to increase their use of renewable resources. In this case, the AI tool was created based on the idea that society can and should make the most of solar and wind power sources, which is a reflection of the engineer's values. This focus means that the AI tool is not intrinsically value neutral. Other people may have different values about energy generation that are not reflected in this particular AI tool. Like most aspects of emerging technology, AI is not a perfect system. At present, it provides both opportunities and challenges, so using it responsibly requires critical thinking and an understanding about how data may be biased. In order to limit biases, drift, and inaccuracies, AI models require humans to take action, like retraining models on more diverse datasets and continuing to fine-tune them frequently. Humans must also consider the inadvertent harms associated with using these AI tools. Let's examine some of the types of harm that AI can cause if used irresponsibly. First is allocative harm. An allocative harm is a wrongdoing that occurs when an AI system's use or behavior withholds opportunities, resources, or information in domains that affect a person's well-being. For example, if AI tools don't provide the same information to everyone, some people may be denied access to education, healthcare, fair housing, or other opportunities. Maybe a property manager for an apartment complex uses an AI tool to screen applications for potential tenants. This AI tool uses the names and other identifying information on these applications to help conduct background checks. One applicant is deemed a risk because of a low credit score, so they are denied the apartment and they lose the application fee. Later, the property manager realizes the software had misidentified the applicant and ran a background check on the wrong person. In this example, the applicant has experienced an allocative harm because they were denied an opportunity and lost resources, both affecting their well-being. Another type of harm AI can cause is quality of service harm. Quality of service harm is a circumstance in which AI tools do not perform as well for certain groups of people based on their identity. When speech recognition technology was first developed, the training data didn't have many examples of speech patterns exhibited by people with disabilities. So the devices often struggled to parse this type of speech. But this technology is still evolving. The next type of harm is representational harm, an AI tool's reinforcement of the subordination of social groups based on their identities. For instance, the AI powering a language translation app might associate certain words with feminine or masculine traits and choose gender-specific translations based on those assumptions. Now, this is harmful because the result may be the erasure or alienation of social groups due to built-in biases. Another type of harm associated with AI is social system harm. This harm refers to macro-level societal effects that amplify existing class, power, or privilege disparities, or cause physical harm as a result of the development or use of AI tools. As AI-generated images become more realistic, there's concern about the spread of disinformation, including deepfakes. Deepfakes are AI-generated fake photos or videos of real people saying or doing things that they did not do. An example of a social system harm might be if a Deepfake of a school board candidate showed that person saying something they didn't say. If it went viral, causing them to lose the election, that would impact voters' perspectives, the way parents feel about their school district, and the community in general. Because there would be disinformation being spread on a large scale, this would be a social system harm. Fortunately, new technology is being created to detect deepfakes. Some image generating tools are putting digital watermarks on AI generated images and videos to indicate who created them. Over time, deepfakes should become easier for computers to identify. AI users do need to be aware of the difficulty of distinguishing between AI generated images and real images, and the consequences of creating these deepfakes. Sometimes people can share private information with an AI tool that could be misused by others, like locking someone out of an online account or surveilling them. These are examples of interpersonal harm, which is the use of technology to create a disadvantage to certain people that negatively affects their relationships with others, or causes a loss of one's sense of self and agency. All of these harms are examples of how using technology irresponsibly can negatively impact people and communities. If used without human intervention or critical thinking, AI can reinforce systemic bias, leading to unfair distribution of resources, the perpetuation of dangerous stereotypes, or the reinforcement of ongoing power dynamics. The good news is that AI tools are rapidly evolving based on feedback from users. That's why being aware of potential harm and negative outcomes is a first step to using AI responsibly. You've learned that it's important to be aware of the possible harms of AI tools. It's equally important to make sure you're equipped with the knowledge to make informed decisions about data, especially when it comes to privacy and security. Privacy is the right for your user to have control over how their personal information and data are collected, stored, and used. A variety of information is used to train AI models, including datasets and user inputs. For example, users might disclose private information during their interactions with an AI tool, and personal information might include names and addresses, medical records and history, and financial and payment information. If you're using an AI tool at your job, you might decide to include specific information about a project, stakeholders, or your clients in an AI prompt to make the output more specific to your task. But using an AI tool in this way can present a security risk. Security is the act of safeguarding personal information and private data, and ensuring that the system is secure by preventing unauthorized access. The majority of IT industry leaders believe generative AI might introduce new security risks, and that before an organization implements generative AI for the first time, the organization should put enhanced security measures in place. As the user, there are measures you can take to help protect your own privacy and security, as well as that of your organization, coworkers, and business partners. First, before you use an AI tool, be aware of its terms of use or service, privacy policy, and any associated risks. Consider how transparent an AI tool is about how it collects data from its users. Trusted AI tools are often built with robust security and privacy teams that have thoroughly considered all kinds of risks and have put effort into communicating those risks to users. Before accepting terms of service for a website or an app, be aware of what data is collected and how it might be used. Next, don't input personal or confidential information. Most AI tools function adequately without specific personal details. So while using AI, keep private information like your identity, your department's budget details, or email address private. Similarly, avoid putting confidential information into an AI tool to prevent the data from becoming available to a third party during a security breach or data leak. To personalize your outputs, you can always edit the details later. Many AI tools use encryption and other measures to help protect your information. But you should always make sure to protect your privacy. Finally, stay up to date on the latest tools. Knowing about new advancements in AI can help you understand risks as they come in. So if you plan on using AI frequently, make sure you're reading the latest articles from trusted news sources, scholarly and university publications, and subject matter experts. When it comes to AI, technology is progressing and changing almost daily. Luckily, security strategies are too. As you've learned, privacy and security are a huge part of using AI responsibly. And knowing how to keep your organization and yourself safe is an integral part of responsible AI.
Hi, I'm Sean. I'm a research scientist at Google Research. I research the fairness and equality of AI, especially for marginalized groups like people with disabilities. The main reason I came to Google was to have impact on the technology that we use and the technology that's coming. My favorite part of this job is working with people, both the people on my team, but also in our research, we get to go out into the community and get feedback about what we can be doing better and how we should be thinking about the future of AI and how it's going to affect people. You know, if you think about how different people might engage with an AI system, one thing that you might consider is people will ask questions. What is life like for someone with a disability? What kinds of things do people with disabilities enjoy? And it's not clear what the right answer is to that kind of question. What should you say? And I think one of the things we want to avoid is to say, oh, that's a sensitive topic, so we can't answer that. From my perspective, that means we've lost because now we're missing out on opportunities to teach people and to be helpful to people. We want systems that work for everybody. You know, AI has to be for everybody. AI bias is a huge problem, and we have to solve it in many different ways, from data to algorithms to user interface. One way to address bias and harmful content is to make sure that our data sets are appropriate and are representative of a wide variety of people. A lot of the work that our team is doing is in helping to define guidelines for collecting data and to make sure that we have data that's representative of a wide variety of people, a wide variety of experiences, and a wide variety of perspectives. One way to keep on top of these issues is through having systems that are transparent. So being able to understand how AI systems work, what data they draw on, how they come to provide certain kinds of feedback. I think a huge part of learning to use AI is also applying critical thinking and not just taking the first answer you get, but really trying to understand why a particular answer came about. Right? I think about AI systems not as a tool to give you answers, but to help you get to answers. I use AI in my home life also. We, a couple weeks ago, used AI to help come up with a name for our pet. And so that was really helpful just as a muse and as a way to like generate some ideas and have a little bit of fun. Dr. Bones is the name of my cat, yeah.
Hi, I'm Vint, Vice President and Chief Internet Evangelist at Google. Some people think of me as famous. I don't. I think of me as lucky. I had the good fortune of being one of the people who started the design of the Internet in 1973. And since that time, my entire career has been strongly related to Internet and its evolution. So people ask me, what is a Chief Internet Evangelist and why does the Internet need an evangelist at all? And the answer to that is that only about 2/3 of the world's population are actually online and able to access all the treasures and riches of the Internet. And so the Chief Internet Evangelist is still running around the world encouraging people to build more Internet so everyone can have access. I've been around in the AI space for almost all of its existence because the notion of artificial intelligence goes all the way back to the 1960s. So let's talk a little bit about the way in which AI can be used in crisis situations like wildfires and things like that. In 9 different countries, Google's services are being used, the SOS alerts, to detect and to alert geographically about wildfires. So we're starting to see raw material going into the artificial intelligence algorithms to help us anticipate what a fire is going to do. And that will help the forest fire response and will certainly help get people out of buildings if they are in fact at risk. Another example comes from one of our sister organizations, DeepMind, which trained a machine learning system to learn how to fold proteins that are generated by the interpretation of DNA. And the reason that's so important is that those molecules may turn out to be the key to solving various kinds of genetic diseases. I mean, I get really excited about stuff like that. AI literacy is really about not the absolute details, exactly how does this work. Not everyone needs to know how a car is constructed to use it. We want people to have a conscious sense of both the power and peril of artificial intelligence. I think in the long run, as we learn how to use these techniques better and better and more reliably, that it will have a dramatic impact on almost all walks of life. It will enhance our ability to do research. Every student might have a personal tutor, in effect. Creative people who are trying to create text and film and video and imagery will have a palette and a tool far more capable than a paintbrush in order to invent and create. And so in the same way that the World Wide Web has turned out to be such a huge platform for creativity and innovation, I think the AI world will induce a similar kind of effect.
Congratulations! You're almost done with this section of the course. You've discovered how responsible AI helps mitigate bias and avoid societal harms. Let's review some of those key points. First, you explored how systemic and data biases are reflected in AI models. Training or developing models with incomplete, outdated, or inaccurate data increases bias in AI systems. You examined the types of harms that are associated with AI, especially if AI tools are not paired with human abilities like critical thinking and responsible decision-making. Finally, you gained some tips for maintaining privacy and security when using AI. The best way to commit to using AI responsibly is to be vigilant about the risks of AI while enjoying its benefits. Think critically about how you use AI and the output you receive from AI tools. Share your awareness of potential biases with others. Staying up to date with the latest AI developments is also very important. AI tools are changing the world rapidly, but with new technology also comes risk. Understanding potential harms will help you consider learning how to use these tools responsibly. It's been great introducing you to the responsible use of AI. To continue learning, I encourage you to stay up to date on AI developments as part of Google AI Essentials.